This is Campfire Chats Part 2. We are talking to Kelly Doell. We're going to get to that in just a second, but about 5 seconds ago before we started recording, we realized we're drinking out of the exact same mugs.
Cute.
Maybe quickly tell the story behind these mugs and why we have the exact same ones.
We found these, was it in Canmore we found these? At that little pottery place when we were traveling, oh my God, probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It feels like yesterday, kind of. Anyway, we got these like beautiful mugs that were like incredibly expensive, but like we are obsessed, and we like walked around and like picked out the perfect one for ourselves, and traveled really carefully with them, brought them home. And then I think just last year I was doing my dishes just real aggressively. It slipped out of my hand and mine cracked. Oh, and yours did too, didn't it?
I'm on my second version too.
Oh my God. And Marianne, being a little angel that she is, went to Canmore, went out west to visit her sister and picked me up a new one. So now I'm like so freaking careful with this because it's my child.
We're on version 2.0 of our mugs.
Yeah.
It's got to be appropriate for Campfire Chats today.
Yeah, no beer, just coffee. What are you drinking?
Yeah. Coffee.
Yeah, same.
My second round of coffee.
This is my third. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a little like, ugh.
Kelly! So today we are talking to Kelly Doell. He is, we've got to know him over the last couple of years. Kelly Doell, PhD. I want to make that prominent. He is the host of the Happily Ever Active podcast, which we absolutely love, and also has written a book called Feel Like It, which is like the deep dive into mental fitness. So I think we should welcome to Campfire Chats, Kelly Doell.
Hang on. I'm here, I swear. Oh,
there you are. There we are.
How are you?
Do you want me to do you want me to do panorama? What's the best? Does it matter?
I mean, maybe, yeah. Want to try
Okay.
it?
All right, just give me a second.
Yeah.
Sound better?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, it might wobble here. Kind of, everyone these days is like a home video producer. They've got all their stuff and they still can't figure it out. I am in that camp.
All right. I mean, we can like just dive right into it. We haven't talked since this whole like crazy pandemic has started, and I just want to like check in with you first and foremost, see how you're doing, see how the family is doing.
Yeah, this is well, what are we at now? I think in our house, I'd say almost 8 weeks in some fashion of being on lock home or on lockdown or working from home, some variation. We've got a 5-year-old, so she's now going on, almost, 6, 7, maybe even 8 weeks of no school, if you include March break on that. So we've got a busy house. I'm learning from talking to people and doing interviews that, and you guys are probably hearing this too, like how it's affecting everyone differently. Everyone's home dynamic is quite different. We have a very busy home dynamic, and so it's affecting us in ways that might not be affecting other people. I'm sure we're going to talk about that, but we're finding, I'm sure you guys can listen, getting outside and getting into nature. We live close to a wooded area has been a blessing for us to keep reconnecting and releasing stress, because if we're home all day working with, kid, trying to homeschool, all those types of things, the stress builds up. And we're starting to notice it now, I think, in the last week or two, more than in previous weeks. I think any novelty that's come with this lockdown and being restricted in all these different ways, it's worn off. And so we're starting to feel it, which means that at least in our house, we're starting to do some more things actively to, keep our sanity, if you will, but also to make sure that we're giving ourselves breaks. We're giving ourselves the opportunity to get fresh air and replenish, because it's, who knows when these things are going to start relaxing. So we have to start taking care of ourselves now when we're starting to feel the early stages of that, maybe that cabin fever, right?
I'm really interested to like watch this like a year from now and like kind of just be reminded of what we, I guess, went through.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is so, it's documented in such granular detail. I mean, I have colleagues who are right in the mix of it are conducting research, doing studies on the effect of, for example, the effect of the shutdown or the restrictions on physical activity behavior. So this is going to be really well documented. There's going to be a lot of research that comes out of it, not just, research, but of course, everyone's capturing this on social media, and, people will be doing throwback posts to some pretty crazy times, I think, and some hard times for a lot of people. But this is going to be a snapshot of our lives, not just a year from now, but, longer, and looking how such a unique event has, in some ways, it's separated us but joined us all together, because we're all going through it together, and some of us are going through it in similar ways, and some of us are going through it in more unique ways, but the common denominator is that we're all going through it together. Nobody is unaffected in some fashion. That's kind of my conclusion so far. I'm sure you guys have come to that conclusion too. Everybody's affected in some way, and I think, like I said, being forward now, we're starting to feel, a lot of people are starting to really feel that. I mean, my mom, for example, I talked to my mom last night, and she lives in a small town in Prairie, Canada, and it's not like there's a lot going on in small town Prairie, Canada, and even she is getting, going a little bit stir crazy at home. She can only garden so much, she says. Got to go out in the town and do some shopping and stuff like this, which of course is restricted. She's in a particular vulnerable segment of the population. So, no one's immune to it, and it's affecting people all over the place, and it's connecting us in this really weird way.
Your whole thing is like the mental side behind fitness. So we're really interested because you have a new podcast actually coming out today. I'm really looking forward to hearing that. But how can people stay motivated right now to still at least be outside, stay active? Because I would say that's the biggest factor right now for people who are usually active. It's finding the motivation to do anything, let alone do something without a point.
Well, first off, right off the bat, I mean, give yourself, or cut yourself some slack. And I don't mean you personally, but anyone who's listening. This is not normal. I mean, the ideal response to all of this is to go into whatever holes we're supposed to be in right now, or face these restrictions, and just keep on pumping out the miles if you're a runner. Keep on riding, keep on burning calories, keep on doing something, and keeping up that energy expenditure. Well, that is unrealistic to start. And I don't know anyone. I mean, there might be a few people out there that are like, oh, great, now I have all this extra time to do, my home TRX workout or whatever. Whatever the interests are, but just show this. I think this is a time to cut yourself some slack and show yourself some compassion, that it's okay if you struggle. Give yourself permission to have days where you really don't feel like it, and if you don't do anything, that's all right. I mean, I give that advice a lot, which just seems counterintuitive to someone who's in my kind of general area, but it's okay if you miss a day, a few days, or whatever. But there are things to tap into, some extra motivation, and get you through this. I know some of the conversations I've had recently are kind of trying to grasp some perspective on this. And think about if this were to happen in 1974, no social media, no ability to Zoom, and we're all, the only really access to media is through the radio or TV, whatever, and we cannot connect the way we're connecting right now. And so we have these options, these resources to connect with other people in a uniquely creative way, in some cases, to help, boost our motivation, get us interested in fitness. I know, for example, I'll give a couple examples because I'm really tapped into the free outdoor community fitness community here in Ottawa, including November Project, Arboretum Hill Club, and these types of groups, and there's run clubs and whatever. And some of them have been really great in maintaining social connection, and even doing workouts through Zoom. November Project just did a Sunrise 6K this week. All over the world, people are running 6 kilometers and posting it on social media and Strava, and there's these Zoom chats that people are having, trying to maintain connection. So the resources that are at our disposal are so powerful right now. And so one way, I think my top tip would be to try and leverage them in a meaningful way. So what does that mean? That might be having friends who you do a workout with, or having friends that at least at bare minimum you check up on, and I'm sure you guys are doing that, and we're kind of doing that right now, but check up on. But you can build fitness around that. Think about the idea of accountability buddies, but from a distance. And these are some of the opportunities that Zoom and Skype allow us. And the other thing too is I know there's been some online or YouTube stars that have just boomed in popularity in the last month or two. One of the accounts that I'll follow is Yoga with Adrian, and she's getting a lot more new subscribers because people are going, well, I can't go to the studio anymore. How do I bring the studio home? And they do those types of workouts online. So think about all of the options that are available to you that might not have been able to consider, and then pick away at something that seems doable and that you think you'd be able to enjoy, and you can build a little bit more of a routine. Because we're now, like I said, we're 6, 7, 8 weeks into it. Routines were just a mess. They just got blown up for so many people. And now we're looking, well, we might be in this for a little while longer. Now it's time to inform a new routine and be creative and use these resources and connect with other people, because that connectivity, that social element is so powerful for so many people. And this is a time I think we need it more than we might ever need it, going forward too. So that's my advice on the motivation side. And again, cut yourself some slack. It's hard. My family's, we've had struggles big time, right? At times, and we've had to rework things too. So it's no one's immune to it. But just be okay that it's not going to be perfect every week. Your routine is going to be different. It's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be changes, because that's the reality.
I just wanted to point out a couple things, maybe that you, Vicky, that we're doing that have been helpful. Like, I know that you've been working out with your sister and brother-in-law while they're in Florida over Zoom, right? Or over FaceTime.
Yeah. At 4:30, it's like, we got to do it. Even yesterday, it was rainy and kind of crummy out. I spent most of my day working on my computer, and by 4:30, I was like, this is the last thing I want to do. And I was so tempted to just be like, okay, F it. I'm not getting my workout clothes on. I'm staying in my full sweatsuit. But to have, my sister and brother-in-law text me being like, hey, let's do it. Get changed. We got the workout ready to go. That's my huge motivator right now. I live for it.
Yeah, the accountability, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My sister's a yoga teacher, and her yoga studio in Cochrane, Alberta, you pay $20 for the month, and then you can take all their online classes. So I've been doing yoga with my sister once or twice a week and taking her classes, which I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So that's been huge. And I never thought I'd join Strava. I never thought I'd be a Strava person, but right? So we have to follow each other in Strava, but I joined a running club, Run Traverse, and they post weekly run workouts to get ready for trail running specifically. But that keeps me accountable too, is knowing that workout's going to be posted on Thursdays. So I just wanted to point out a couple things that Vicky and I have been doing that have been helpful.
Yeah, and take advantage of these things that I'm just like you. I've never been on Strava. I got on it for a particular event that November Project was hosting, posted it, connected with some friends. I got just this little cluster of people now that I follow me and whatnot. But that's been a nice thing. And a year from now, will I still be using it? Who knows? But right now, that is there's an opportunity. And so my podcast episode this week is about that. It's about finding opportunity and using being a little creative to change things up. And accountability is a big part of this whole equation too, like Vicky was saying, and having these set times. And my book is called Feel Like It, right? But sometimes we just don't feel like it. And one way to we absolutely need to move, even though we are having that that feeling, that pressure, or that I call it the couch suction, right? We don't really want to do it. The day has been hard. It's been a long day at work, but having that appointment is one way just to overcome that, at least in the short term, even if it's I don't really feel like, you will feel better. Absolutely. But it's also, and this is almost counterintuitive to some of the advice I give people, that, when you talk about motivation, finding things that you like to do is the most powerful thing of all. Well, some of those options are gone for people. And so if that appointment that you have with your family or your friends is enough to get you moving, you'll feel better. But most importantly right now, at least for me, is it's exceptionally important for our mental health and stress reduction. And as things go on, if we do not take care of those types of things, they're just going to magnify and we have an opportunity now to kind of do something about it in a creative way, but we have to look for the opportunities. We have to say, you know what, I'm going to go on Strava, or you know what, I'm going to do this home workout, even though I really don't like working out around my dogs or my cats or whatever. There's just some things we just can't do, and we have to deal with that. And if you can, I mean, I know we're all like-minded connected to the outdoors. If there are opportunities to still get some fresh air safely, then do that too. I mean, that's a big part of, there's a huge health effect from doing that. And I know it's hard not to go to, in our case, Gatineau Park, but finding opportunities to do that locally, at least get the fresh air into your veins, and that can do wonders too. So even if it's like at end of a long day, a 15-20 minute walk, if you're not feeling like you're doing a lot, that is a lot. That's a huge thing. It might not get rid of all of the snacks you've been ripping from the fridge for the last 8 weeks, but it's going to make you feel weightless in other ways. And that's kind of the key thing right now. Like, some things are just not important, right? But other things are taking priority. And I certainly think the mental health is a part of it. So social connection, however you can get it, is a big part of that, being outside as well, as in whatever dose you can get.
Yeah, totally. 100% agree. At the beginning of this, I kind of had a hard time, because slowly the things that I kind of used in my tool belt for to help me with my mental health, whether it was, getting a massage or going to the gym, I have my things that I like to do, were slowly being taken away from me. And I was like, I still have the outdoors, I'm not training for a race. I don't have anything any events coming up, which is hard, because I know a lot of us have, use that as a goal and use that as motivation to work towards. And now it's like, well, I have nothing, but luckily we're still lucky enough that we can go outside and we can, run along the canal. So I kind of have to focus on that, or else, start to go a little bit loco. So we all have to pivot in every kind of aspect of our life,
And when they shut down the park, Gatineau Park, it was just a gut punch, right? All the things you think, at least there's that, but for obvious reasons, they had to do it. But how many people in our region are just struggling with that fact, that sort of sanctuary has been taken away from them. So like I said, it's new times for a lot of people, and we have to adapt in small ways. But we have to give ourselves a little bit of a break, that it's going to be hard, and each day is going to be a new sort of challenge. And but again, there's opportunity in this to be creative and find some new ways. And who knows, on the end, Marianne, you asked a year from now, what are we going to see and how is this going to kind of look? And I think there might be some people out there who are discovering some new things. Maybe it's a home-based workout. They're like, hey, I've been thinking about doing this. I never really got to it, but now I had the opportunity to do it, and it connected with them. And so it goes into the rotation. And now these people are maybe expanding, let's say diversifying their investments, their portfolio, their fitness portfolio, through some new things. So in the future, if going to CrossFit is not on the cards, whatever, and you gotta, whatever the obstacle is, time or whatever, maybe there's a home workout or something at home that you've acquired during this time that you can then lean on. So that could be a silver lining. We'll see how that goes, but there's a lot of people trying a lot of new things, right? I'm sure you guys have seen that too.
Totally. We're all gardening. We're all garden experts too right now.
Yeah, we're all comparing whose carrots are sprouting first and all the rest. Yeah. It's a very ego-oriented art, gardening.
I actually had to I had to replant a bunch of my seedlings, just because some were just failing miserably. So that's if that's what we Vicky and I don't have humans to look after, so our plants have been our number one.
They're thriving though. My plants have never looked better.
Also, your new place has all these amazing big windows to and it also gives you light too, which is
that's huge. Yeah. Right now it's sunny. I'm a sunflower. I'm just drinking it up.
But Kelly, speaking of watering, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just I was going on to the next question, but go ahead with water.
No, I was saying, speaking of watering plants, you said, the humans, I've got a little human, and we've learned a lot, of course, as parents, and this experience, and then watching the effect of routine change on a child who's just been in school, or she just halfway through kindergarten, her first year kindergarten. And so, watering little plants, and if you use that analogy, but we've had to water that plant every single day. We've started building our routines around making sure, like, she got a bike for her birthday in April. So we're building our day around a daily bike ride. And sometimes it's 2 or 3, depending on how nice it is. But first thing in the day, trying to get her moving and outside, it makes a huge difference. We can actually see it unfold the days that we can't. Like, it was raining yesterday quite a bit. And so we weren't able to get out, at least not in the morning. Well, that really affects her mood and all the rest, right? And when you have 2 people working from home all day, and a 5-year-old who obviously needs a lot of attention, and even though she's sort of independent, you can see the effects of that really quickly. And so we have to create this balance. And physical activity is a great way of doing it. And we've just been so lucky that this has all happened at this time of year where we can get outside a little bit more easily and burn off some of whatever anxiety she might be kind of holding in that we can't necessarily see right away, but we know it's there, right? Because routine change is affecting children too, and we want to make sure that they're also dealing with this in a positive way. And physical activity and getting outside is a great way. It's not just for the adults, right? I know there's parents out there who are probably watching too.
Is there anyone that you've really kind of attached yourself to on social media that has done a really good job with handling this, or people that we should be following? That, like, obviously, like Vicky and I know we both like Yoga with Adrian, but is there anyone local or across Canada that you would recommend that's been really inspiring right now?
Well, I mean, there's a couple. I like Yoga with Adrian for some obvious reasons, but we have some local people. I will say, because I'm a big advocate, and I love to stand up for November Project. I love the group, what they're doing, such a positive, uplifting thing, and there's some really great sentiments that are captured about the struggle through November Project. So just following November Project Ottawa or November Project in general on Instagram, it's at least at a bare minimum an uplifting, interesting snapshot into how people are doing. Because remember, groups that are fiercely social and community driven are facing a lot of struggles, and so watching how they adapt and how they keep their spirits up has been great. So of course I'm gonna propose that. But I mean, locally, following people who on the outdoors, like locally, Ray Zahab I follow. He's got some great content and super positive dude. He's been on my podcast before. Super positive dude. And I know in our house too, just in terms of positive messaging and uplifting, is the Birds Papaya. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's Canadian, and she's got some, I think she's based out of Windsor or Southern Ontario at least, but she's got some great messages about body positivity, and she's been putting out some really good, meaningful content about that and self-compassion, essentially, right? I mean, she's her message is about self-compassion. And this is a time, I think, where we might need a little bit more than normal. So I'd say Ray Zahab, November Project, Birds Papaya, and yeah, Yoga with Adrian. If an instructor out there who is going to feed you regular content. So that resonates with you. That's kind of what I would suggest there.
We need all the positivity we can get right now. I think it's time that we need to wrap things up. So thank you, Kelly, so much for being here today and chatting with us on Campfire Chats. We just love listening to you. I feel like I could have just sat back and listened to you and pretended like this was one of your podcast episodes, because you're just a wealth of information.
Thank you so much. Very flattering. And anytime, and you guys, I gotta get you back on my show too, because we gotta start talking hiking at some point, and we gotta scratch that itch really soon, I think.
Totally. Yeah.
Can you quickly plug your podcast coming out today?
Yes, Happily Ever Active is the podcast. And yes, I'm talking kind of some of the stuff I talked about the idea of what's the opportunity when it seems like there aren't any to do with our fitness. And I tie it into our mental health a little bit today. So similar to what we talked about today. So there'll be an episode coming out later today. Happily Ever Active is the podcast, and publishing every week. Yeah.
We love it, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.